The mare collapses at dusk. Sarah feels the animal shudder beneath her, hears the wet rasp in its lungs and nose. She slides from the saddle before the horse's knees buckle. The mare goes down sideways, ribs heaving, foam specking her muzzle pink. Easy. Sarah's voice cracks. Easy now. 3 days since she ran. 2 since the snow started. The mare took a stone yesterday morning, limped through afternoon. Couldn't walk by evening. Sarah led her through the night anyway, desperate, stupid with cold and fear. Now the animal's eye rolls white, catching the last gray light filtering through pine branches. Sarah removes her coat, drapes it over the horse's barrel. Her hands shake. Not from cold yet. The shaking comes from somewhere deeper. Behind them, no tracks remain. The snow has seen to that. Ahead, nothing but timber and ridge and the temperature dropping fast. She left her husband's ranch with a canteen, 2 biscuits wrapped in cloth, and this dying horse. The biscuits are gone. The canteen froze solid this morning. She crouches beside the mare's head, strokes the blazed face once. The horse's breathing slows, steadies, stops. Sarah stands, turns, scans the darkening trees. That's when she sees it. Smoke, thin and gray, rising from somewhere beyond the next ridge. Maybe a mile, maybe less. She looks back at the mare, takes the saddle blanket, leaves everything else. Her wedding ring she drops in the snow without ceremony. The indent on her finger remains. The walk takes an hour. Her boots break through crust, sink, pull free. Wet, cold, soaks through to bone. The smoke thickens as she climbs. At the ridgetop she stops. Below, a cabin. Rough-hewn logs, stone chimney, single window glowing amber, small barn leaning slightly, woodshed. Everything mantled white and solitary. She descends. Her fist strikes the door 3 times before strength fails. She leans against the frame, forehead on wood, and waits. For death or shelter? Both seem equally distant. The door opens inward. She nearly falls. A man catches her elbow, steadies her. He's tall, lean, bearded, older, his grip firm but not restraining. You hurt? She shakes her head. Can't speak yet. He steps aside. Come in. She crosses the threshold into warmth and lamplight. Behind her, he closes the door, but doesn't latch it. This detail she notices. She stands dripping snowmelt onto clean-swept boards, the blanket clutched to her chest. The cabin holds a table, 2 chairs, iron stove radiating heat. Shelves line one wall, canned goods, flour sacks, books, a narrow bed in the corner made neat with military precision. Everything spare, ordered, worn smooth by solitary use. Sit. He pulls a chair closer to the stove. She sits because standing costs too much. He moves to the stove, pours coffee from a blue enamel pot into a tin cup, brings it to her without asking questions. The cup burns her palms. She holds it anyway. He stands at a careful distance, watching with eyes the color of cedar bark. How long you been out there? 3 days. Anyone coming after you? The question hangs. She meets his gaze, reads nothing there except patience, and perhaps recognition. The look of someone who knows about running. No. He nods once. You'll stay. She wakes in the dark, not knowing where she is. Then, stove warmth, wool blankets smelling of cedar. The slow creak of timber settling. She's in the narrow bed, fully clothed except for boots. Across the room, the man sleeps in a bedroll on the floor near the door. He gave her the bed. Morning comes blue through frost-etched glass. He's already up, feeding the stove, moving quiet in worn denim and a flannel shirt patched at the elbows. She watches through half-closed eyes as he fills the coffee pot, sets it to boil. His movements economical, practiced. You awake? He doesn't turn around. Yes. Hungry? She realizes she is, desperately. He makes johnny cakes on the stovetop, fries bacon in an iron skillet. They eat at the table without speaking. The food tastes like salvation. She forces herself to eat slowly. When she's finished, he refills her coffee. Name's Thomas Garrett. Sarah. She doesn't offer the rest. You can stay long as you need. He sips his coffee, gaze steady. No questions, no expectations. There's a latch on that door you can use. Heat climbs her neck that has nothing to do with the stove. The days establish rhythm. Thomas rises before dawn, tends the animals, 2 horses, a milk cow, chickens. She wakes to coffee already made, breakfast cooking. At first she stays inside, watching through the window as he splits wood, repairs fence line, works the small barn. On the 4th day, she follows him outside. The cold bites clean after the cabin's warmth. He's at the woodpile, axe rising and falling with steady precision. She approaches slowly, hands tucked under her arms. Let me help. He pauses mid-swing, lowers the axe, studies her. You strong enough? I worked a ranch for 6 years. Something shifts in his expression, not quite a smile. He hands her a leather glove. Stack what I split. They work until noon. Her muscles remember this labor, the bend and lift, the rhythm of useful motion. Thomas doesn't speak except to point where he wants the wood stacked. But when they break for water, he nods at her work pile. You know what you're doing. It's not quite approval, more like acknowledgement between equals. That night, she uses the latch on the door, slides it closed with a soft click. In the morning, she leaves it open. The weeks blur. February bleeds into March. Snow melts in patches, revealing last year's grass. She learns the cabin's routines, finds her place within them, washing dishes while he oils the harness, feeding chickens while he milks the cow. Small domesticities that ask nothing, promise nothing. One evening, mending a shirt by lamplight, she speaks without planning to. He broke 3 of my ribs. Thomas looks up from the harness strap he's working. Waits. The first time, I believed his apologies. Said he'd been drinking. Said he'd stop. She threads the needle through fabric, pulls it taut. He didn't stop. Stopped apologizing, though. Thomas sets down the leather. You kill him? No. She ties off the thread, bites it clean. But I thought about it. That why you ran in winter. He said next time you'd make sure I couldn't walk again. She folds the shirt, hands steady. I believed him. Thomas stands, moves to the stove, pours 2 cups of coffee, sets one beside her elbow. My wife died in childbirth. His voice rough as bark. 10 years ago. Baby 2. I came here after. He returns to his chair, cup cradled in scarred hands. Some folks say I'm hiding. Maybe they're right. Sarah picks up her coffee. Maybe hiding's just another word for surviving. Maybe. Outside, an owl calls. Wind whispers through pine boughs. The stove ticks as metal expands. Thomas breaks the silence. My grandfather used to say a man's character shows in how he treats those who can't fight back. He looks at her directly. Your husband's got no character at all. She holds his gaze. Neither did I. I stayed. You left. That took more strength than staying ever would. Something in her chest loosens. She nods once. They return to their work, but the silence feels different now. Warmer, like a door opening from the inside. The letter arrives in April with a rider from town. Sarah's in the garden plot, turning winter-hard soil with a spade. Thomas takes the envelope from the rider. A kid barely 20 who stares at Sarah with undisguised curiosity. Thomas sends him off without inviting him inside. He reads the letter by the stove. Face, unreadable. Finally folds it, tucks it in his shirt pocket. Town council wants to see me. Some concern about my living situation. Sarah's hands still on the bread dough she's kneading. They know about me. They know someone's here. Ranch wives see smoke rising different than it used to. He pours coffee, doesn't meet her eyes. I need to go in tomorrow. Buy supplies anyway. I'll come with you, Sarah. I'll come. The ride to town takes 3 hours. Sarah sits Thomas's spare gelding, feeling the animal's strength beneath her. The mare's death still sits heavy in her chest, but this horse moves different. Steady, unbroken. She runs her hand along his neck, feels warmth and life. Thomas rides ahead, silent. His shoulders carry tension she hasn't seen before. The town squats in a valley, 24 buildings clustered around a muddy main street. People stop to stare as they pass. Sarah keeps her chin level, eyes forward. Her dress is borrowed from Thomas's trunk, his dead wife's clothing taken in at the waist. It fits poorly but clean. At the general store, Thomas dismounts. I'll be quick. But the door opens before he reaches it. 3 men emerge, ranchers by their dress, prosperous and hard-eyed. The one in front, barrel-chested with silver in his beard, plants himself in Thomas's path. Garrett, we need to talk. Mr. Hutchins, Thomas's voice neutral. Hutchins glances at Sarah, still mounted. That her? The one been living up at your place? That's my business. It's the town's business when a man takes in a woman not his wife. Sets a bad example. Hutchins crosses his arms, especially a woman who abandoned her lawful husband. Sarah feels ice in her stomach. He didn't. You don't speak here. Hutchins doesn't look at her. Your husband's been to town, looking for you. Says you stole from him. Ran off with another man. Says you were always unstable. That's a lie. I said you don't speak. Now Hutchins does turn, his face hard with righteousness. Decent women don't run. They work through their troubles Christian-like. They honor their vows. Thomas steps forward. That's enough, is it? Hutchins shifts his attention back. We tolerated you hiding up in those hills after your loss, Thomas. Felt for you, even. But this crosses a line. You're harboring another man's wife, living in sin. The council wants her gone by week's end, or we'll have the marshal come get her. Sarah watches Thomas, sees him calculating, weighing, sees the exact moment he chooses safety over truth. I'll bring her down, his voice flat. End of the week. Hutchins nods, satisfied. The men disperse. Thomas loads supplies in silence. Sarah sits her horse numb. The ride home stretches endless. At the cabin, she dismounts before he can help, walks inside, begins gathering the few things that have become hers. The mended shirt, a book he lent her, a comb. Sarah. He stands in the doorway. I had to. You had to. She folds the shirt with precise movements. I understand. It'll blow over. Give it time then. Then what? She turns to face him. You'll stand up for me then? When it's convenient. His jaw tightens. That's not fair. Fair. The word tastes bitter. Those men called me a liar and a thief. Said I was living in sin. You agreed to throw me out. Her voice stays level through force of will. What's fair about that? I'm trying to protect you. If the marshal comes, protect me? She laughs, sharp and hollow. I protected myself. Walked through a blizzard with nothing. Watched my horse die. Found your cabin by grace or luck or chance. You offered shelter, Thomas. I didn't ask for protection. He removes his hat, runs a hand through his hair. What do you want me to do? I want you to be brave enough to tell the truth. She places the folded shirt on the table. But I understand why you can't. Cowardice is easier. I know. I practiced it for 6 years. The words land like blows. Thomas flinches. I'll leave in the morning. Sarah moves toward the door. Save you the trouble of bringing me down. She walks outside into twilight. Behind her, Thomas doesn't follow. She's saddling the gelding when Thomas finds her in the barn. Dawn light slants through gaps in the boards, illuminating dust and her breath misting in cold air. Her hands work the cinch strap with practiced efficiency. He packed supplies in the saddlebag last night. Food, money, a map with towns marked where her husband won't think to look. Sarah. She doesn't turn. The gelding's strong. I'll leave him in Laramie. Send word. Where? I talked to the council. Now she stops. Faces him. Told them you were my wife. his voice steady despite the enormousness of the lie. Said we married quiet after Helen died, that I was ashamed I'd moved on so quick. That you came from back east, that's why nobody knew you. Sarah stares. Thomas, Hutchins didn't believe me, called me a liar to my face. A muscle works in his jaw. I told him he could believe what he wanted, but you weren't going anywhere. That any man who beat his wife forfeited his claim to her. That if they sent the marshal, I'd tell him the same. You'll lose everything. Your reputation, your standing. I already lost everything that mattered. He steps closer. 10 years ago. Been just surviving since. You asked me to be brave enough for truth. Took me a day, but I got there. She searches his face, finds no regret there. Only tired determination. They'll make your life hard. Let them. He reaches out slowly, gives her time to step back. When she doesn't, his hand covers hers on the saddle. I'm asking you to stay. Not out of pity or debt. Stay because this cabin's better with you in it. Because coffee tastes different when someone shares it. Because I'm tired of talking to horses and ghosts. I'm still married. Legally. Legally doesn't mean rightfully. His thumb traces her knuckles. My grandfather said a home isn't walls and roof. It's the people who choose to stay when leaving would be easier. You chose to leave when staying would have killed you. Now I'm asking you to choose staying. Sarah looks at the packed saddlebag. At the door opening onto pale spring morning. At freedom and uncertainty, and the long road ahead. Then at Thomas, scarred and steady, and here. She removes her hand from his, and his face falls. But she's only reaching for the cinch strap, loosening it. The garden needs planting, she says quietly, and that fence on the north side won't fix itself. Something breaks open in his expression, not quite a smile, but close. They work through spring into summer. The town watches, whispers, judges. Some ranchers stop trading with Thomas. The minister delivers a sermon about sanctity of marriage that's really about them. Sarah weathers it with her spine straight, her hands busy. But others come around. Old Mrs. Chen brings preserves, says quietly that she understands about bad husbands. A widow named Ruth invites Sarah to the quilting circle, where 3 other women sit with similar stories etched in scars they hide under long sleeves. Thomas builds Sarah a trunk, plain pine, dovetailed corners, brass hinges. She fills it slowly. A dress sewn from cloth bought in town, books, a silver comb. Things that belong to her, that mark permanence. One evening in late August, she finds him at the table, writing carefully. Letter to a lawyer in Cheyenne, he says, about getting your marriage dissolved. Abandonment and cruelty. Might take time, but it's possible. She sits across from him. And then we do it proper if you want. Or we don't. Either way, you're home. Home. The word sits between them, solid as the table, warm as lamplight. That night she moves her bedroll beside his. He holds her while she sleeps, her back against his chest, his breath in her hair. Both of them scarred, both of them healing. September brings harvest. They work side by side, pulling carrots, cutting squash. The garden yields more than 2 people need, so they share with neighbors. Small gestures building toward forgiveness, or at least acceptance. October paints the aspens gold. Sarah stands in the doorway, watching Thomas chop wood for winter, his axe rising and falling in the slant light. The rhythm of it, the sureness. He looks up, catches her watching, and nods. She nods back. Inside, bread rises on the warming shelf. Coffee simmers. Her trunk sits open, contents unpacked and distributed through the cabin. Her books on his shelves, her dresses hung beside his shirts, her comb on the windowsill catching light. The door stands unlatched. She doesn't need locks anymore. Doesn't need escape routes or emergency plans. Just this, walls they maintain together, roof they share, fire they tend, through seasons turning. Thomas comes inside, bringing cold air and the scent of pine. He sheds his coat, washes his hands in the basin, She pours coffee into 2 cups, hands him one. "First snow soon," he says. "We're ready." He looks at her, really looks, and she sees herself reflected. Not the broken woman who stumbled to his door, but someone rebuilt from better materials, stronger for having broken. "My grandfather said, 'You don't find love,'" Thomas says quietly. "You build it, one choice at a time, one kindness, one truth." Sarah moves to the window. Outside, the world prepares for sleep. Inside, warmth and light and the sound of another person breathing. Then we're building something good. He comes to stand beside her, their shoulders touching. Beyond the glass, mountains rise against darkening sky. The wilderness that nearly killed her now stands watch, protective rather than threatening. She built this. They built this. Not from finding each other, but from the daily choice to stay, to split wood and plant gardens and speak truth when lying would be easier. In the window's reflection, she sees what they've made, not romance or rescue, but partnership, the slow, hard work of building home from raw materials, trust and time, and 2 people scarred enough to know gentleness matters. Snow begins to fall, soft and certain. She takes his hand. They stand together, watching winter come.